Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So welcome to another market open stream. Let's see what the market has in store for us today. We got a lot of things to look forward to. We got economic data once again. We have a big earnings from the biggest company on the planet. And of course, we got other macro stuff to worry about. But the biggest theme of today is, did we miss the Bitcoin blow off top? Let's examine that. All right, let's do it, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are starting out a day at 94.1, 94.2. Obviously, not a level that any of us wants to see Bitcoin. However, here we are. This weekend was not so good. And I could see it from a live chat. People are fearful. People are not feeling it right now. And there's many reasons why. However, do we miss it? Do we all just seem to have missed the top? Is this cycle over? Well, let's examine that. First things first, the US market is opening up red. Yeah, slightly red. Mostly in the tech sector. I talked about this in my video yesterday. Risk on assets like tech and crypto have been sold off and may continue this week. Let's see, Robinhood is down, MicroStrategy is down slightly, Nvidia down, Coinbase down hugely today, AMD down, basically everything's down. Why is this? Well, because there's this new notion that we may not get that rate cut that we're all looking forward to in December. In fact, that percentage has dropped down below 50%. And if we ain't getting a rate cut in December, well, then that kind of explains it, because, these big boys, they want to buy when they know that the economy is going to be revived, that the rate cuts is going to cause liquidity to start flowing, and that's usually when they load up on risk on assets. However, if the opposite is true, then they load up on risk off assets, and that's probably the explanation. Ever since last week, actually 2 weeks ago, ever since Powell said what he did, things haven't been great so far. But this week, we do have economic data. Unlike everything else, last 2 weeks where basically every single piece of data was not shared, this week should be different. Although I'm looking at here and there's still some asterisks. So maybe not every data is going to be shared because they are for October and somehow they don't have the data for October. I don't know, but the biggest ones to look forward to is coming this Thursday with unemployment. Okay, unemployment report, jobless claims, existing home sales. These are stuff that we haven't got for over a month. And we'll see. We'll see. It's funny that, look, in here, they're saying that they're going to release September data and not October data. Why is it? I still don't get, why is it so hard to pull off computer data that shows last month when the government was shut down? Is it really a manual thing that they really have no data for? It's just like Excel spreadsheets off of a database, basically. I still don't get that, but it seems like all this October data may be missing, so they're going to be talking about September data. But anyways, my point is, the data that we've been looking for can help us push into the direction of having that rate cut in December, which was guaranteed before until a few weeks ago when Powell said no. So it could be a good thing. Could be a good thing once we get these pieces of data. What else? What else is there? Nvidia is also going to have earnings this Wednesday. Jensen has been saying that, they're selling chips left and right, and people are going to look forward to those numbers. Okay, I mean, obviously Nvidia's been selling off a little bit. Just a few weeks ago, they hit a new high, like almost 210. Now they sold off to like 180s because all of a sudden there seems to be like a worry about an AI bubble. But really, I think it just comes down to what I was saying. Fears of not having a rate cut, not having liquidity, investors selling off risk on assets. That's it. But for me, I would never bet against Nvidia. They're just too big and powerful at this point. But that could also turn tech around if Nvidia could show Wall Street that we're doing just fine and we're going to continue to do just fine. This AI bubble fear is just way too overblown. Yeah, so that's Wednesday. What else? U.S. and Switzerland reached a trade deal, so tariffs is now being lowered from 39% on 15%. So all of you guys that's been waiting to get a luxury watch, prices should be normal. I don't know. I don't know if this affects luxury watches. I just assume it would, but I don't know. I haven't checked recently. And then lastly, I saw this. This $2,000 stimulus check. Scott Benson said, you know what? That requires congressional approval. That's not something that Trump could just tell the Treasury to do. Somehow, this needs to be voted upon in Congress, but all the other tariffs that we have posed upon other nations and goods, somehow those don't require congressional approval. But this does. Or it's just a change in stance because the Supreme Court's going to make a ruling and say all tariffs are illegal. I don't know. I just find it weird that giving this out requires congressional approval, but all the other tariffs do not. Change in stance there. But anyways, it's highly doubtful that Congress is going to vote on this. This is going to increase our deficit by $600+ billion. And we're already, we're already in so much debt. I just don't see how this is going to get approved. Look at that. Look at that. Good recovery right now. Something good is happening. All right, looking at ETF inflow, outflow. Last week was not good. Not good at all. 492 million outflow. Almost all of it from BlackRock. Normally, you don't see that from BlackRock. But 3 straight days of outflow from BlackRock for Bitcoin. Obviously, there's a shift, like I've been saying, risk on to risk off assets. From Wall Street. Ethereum also had 178 million on top of the 3 other days that it had outflows. The only good one is ETH. ETH had 12 million inflow, no outflow still. But it definitely seems like there are a lot of people on Wall Street selling because they're worried. They're super worried about what they're seeing right now. The fear level is extremely high in crypto, but not only that, just overall in AI, in tech, everything. Now, with all this, the question is, did we all miss the blow off top? Did we miss it? Was that 126 actually top, and now we are entering back into crypto winter? Well, a lot of people seem to think the answer is no. I mentioned this last week, and there's a lot of big investors, big companies coming out and says, no, certainly did not feel like a cycle peak, did not feel like a blow off top. Even ChatGPT said it. When you have a blow off top, when you have a peak, You have euphoria. You have massive FOMO. You have people coming out saying they're buying Lambos. This cycle, you had none of that. None of that. So blow-off tops don't come when everyone's feeling kind of bearish. That doesn't work like that. It comes when everyone's feeling good and everyone's making money and everyone wants to FOMO more in. So do we have that blow-off top already? The answer is no. No, we did not. Now, we may be correcting right now. Okay, we had a 25% slide from the top. But that doesn't mean that the cycle is over, nor did we miss the top. We're just going through one of those phases. And have we gone through one of those phases before? The answer is yes. I have a chart somewhere. Here we go. Right now, as where we are, maybe a little bit higher now, but from the peak to where we were, maybe yesterday or day before, we slid down 26%. And since 2023, from that last cycle bottom to where we are, you could see we had a 22% correction, 20, 22, 22, 32, 32% corrections. So, is this something we have seen? Yes. Have we seen this in previous cycles? Yes. So do we have that blow off top? If you're looking at this, the answer is no. No, we did not. And this is actually quite normal, although people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that we have seen 30+% drops in this current cycle, and we have recovered from it and went higher afterwards. And those periods also took months upon months. So can we recover back up and actually have a blow-off top? The answer is yes. We just haven't seen it yet. And if we continue on, someone's asking, if we continue on to 2026 and keep on going, then yeah, there's no more 4-year cycles. This was the premise of my video yesterday. Saylor said it, and I've seen other people say it. The business cycle, the macro factors, the institutional investments pretty much negate the halving event and the 4-year cycle now. They have taken over. These things are more important. And we could continue well into 26, 27, 28 until the next halving in 2028. And here's something else too. The world's highest IQ holder. I forgot what it was. It's like something ridiculous, like 250 IQ or something. I think this is recent. I don't think this was said like, last year or something. But he says Bitcoin will hit $220,000 in the next 45 days. And he's going to donate all that to churches around the world. His own profits, that is. And he recently said that he converted all his money to Bitcoin too. Now this is coming from the smartest man on the planet based on IQ. So what does he know that the rest of us do not know? Well, maybe he just watches my videos. Maybe that's how he knows. I don't know. But, okay, not everyone is bearish. That's my point. Not everyone thinks that we had a blow off top and we're going back down. There are some people that remain bullish, like myself and this guy right here. In fact, he's my cousin. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. He's not. Michael Saylor also remains bullish. We bought Bitcoin every day this week. And he announced a huge buy today. 8,178 Bitcoin, 835 million And now his average price per Bitcoin is 74,433. And he holds close to 650,000. That's quite a lot. Most of that is from that new raise, that new preferred share that he sold in Europe. And then 100 million of that is from some other company or share, some other preferred share that he sold. So basically, he's raising money to buy Bitcoin. I mean, that's obvious at this point, right? But there are a lot of people that are now coming out and saying, yeah, Saylor have said he never needs to sell a Bitcoin. Which is true. Even if Bitcoin falls to zero, Saylor said he never needs to sell. But there are people that say that he needs to raise money, though. He needs to raise debt. The reason why is because he has to pay dividends. Those preferred stocks that he sells does have like promised dividends. So, and then you can only delay it for so long. Like if you look into terms like delay like 3, 4, 5 years. So all this debt maturities that he has to pay back. So if he can't refinance or finance more and continue what he's doing, 2028, 2029, 2030, 2031, 2032, that's a lot that he has to pay back. And leading up to those points, a lot of dividend payments as well. So there's more worry now about MicroStrategy and their whole business strategy overall, right? And Saylor is banking on the fact that by 2028, 2029, 2030, Bitcoin is well above $1 million. So none of this is really important. You don't have to worry about it. The next 4 years, Bitcoin's going to be much higher, and they're going to be able to raise however much they want. And that is why so many companies out there and pension plans hold Strategy. And BlackRock and Vanguard are the largest shareholders of Strategy as well. However, there is one man out there that's willing to challenge all this. And that is Peter Schiff. MicroStrategy's entire business model is a fraud. Saylor and I will both be speaking at Bitcoin Blockchain Week in Dubai early December. I challenge Saylor to debate this proposition with me. Regardless of what happens to Bitcoin, I believe MicroStrategy will eventually go bankrupt. Well, the silver lining to this is whatever happens to Bitcoin, meaning that he's not saying it's going to zero anymore. So he's admitting that, but now he's saying MicroStrategy will go to zero. I don't know. I don't know if Saylor is going to accept that challenge. We haven't seen Saylor do any debates recently. This would be a good one, although Peter Schiff, we all know you can't out-debate him. He'll never change his mind on Bitcoin, but this is now debating Saylor's strategy company and strategy overall. So I think it's probably good for him to do that. We will see. And I noticed that Saylor's going to Binance Blockchain Week. Saylor only ever goes to like Bitcoin conferences. This is not a Bitcoin conference. This is just like a general broad conference. And I'm really surprised that Saylor's actually going. And he normally doesn't go overseas either. He stays in America for the most part. So it's kind of interesting to see him expand outside of just Bitcoin conferences. Anyways, we still have other great news. Okay? We still have a lot of companies and banks. UBS, one of the biggest banks in Europe, they just increased their Bitcoin holdings. So again, although it seems bleak and it seems like Bitcoin is going through one of these phases where it just does nothing but go down, there are many that still believe, okay? many that believe. And we'll continue to load up because we understand that it's scarce. There's not infinite amount of Bitcoin that is going to ever be. There's a set supply, 21 million, and 95% of that is already done, mined out there. And vast majority of that is held already. Everyone's fighting for just a few percentage of Bitcoin that's floating around. Everything else, it's held. That's the thing that people don't understand. Our price is based on just like a few percentage of Bitcoin floating around in spot exchanges. Everything else is held. And if you understand the scarcity concept and you understand why Bitcoin is created, why it's different than fiat, why we should trust Bitcoin over, let's say, federal central banks, you understand this is an asset you don't sell. You don't even trade, really. You could, but this is an asset you want to hold long term. Now, there are people that do trade it or don't understand. That's why short-term holder levels is the lowest since the FTX collapse when Bitcoin was at 15,000. Now, this kind of signal is the one that all of us long-term holders are looking for. We're looking for that capitulation. We're looking for the retail investors that have lettuce hands that don't understand to leave. And this is exactly what the manipulators and suppressors are looking for. What they're doing, and what I've been saying for a while, all these games that they play and all these patterns like the Wyckoff pattern was created and done to drive out the lettuce hands. And that's exactly what's been happening and why we're seeing this. But the good thing is, when this happens, and we get that bottom, wherever that may be, that's the time to be loading up. That's when we flip above and go higher. Just like that chart I showed you guys. Like the minus 32%. We had two of them. People also were very bearish then and thought that the cycle may have been disrupted or over. That Wall Street like killed everything. No. What they do is drive people out and then bring us back up higher because that's how they make gains. It's not just Wall Street too. There's a lot of the whales and exchanges and market makers, the guys with a lot of liquidity. This is what they do. But I'm confident we didn't have a blow off top yet. I've been through three of them prior. The 2013 top, the 2017 top, 2021 top. And I know how those tops feel like, especially with altcoin season. Everyone is feeling euphoria. You feel dirty because of how much money you're making every single day. Your portfolio goes up 10, 15% every single day for weeks. Everyone is calling for a new Lambo or a new AP watch or Rolex or whatever. We just haven't had that. We nowhere close to that. And I still believe that's in store, but we'll see if it happens next month, according to the highest IQ holder, or sometime in 2026. But it's coming. It is coming. All right. While I've been talking, we flipped into the green side. That is good. Look at strategy is actually up despite all the FUD. Nvidia is still down a little bit. Coinbase is still down a little bit. Hood is still down a little bit. But it's good to see that we have flipped up. We do have good things to look forward to. Like I said, some good economic data or bad economic data that could drive us higher. And, of course, Nvidia earnings. All right. Let's do some Q&A. Dale says, I got a new Casio calculator watch. I still remember that from back in the day. Is that still a thing? Do people still buy calculator watches? I remember when I was growing up, that was like the coolest thing to get. Like to have a calculator watch, and then like after you get it, you think you could do all the calculations on your wrist, and you never end up using it at all because it was just way too small. The good old days. What are your odds a cycle top already happened? I'd say less than 25%. We just based on my previous experience living through these cycle tops, we're just not the same. Nowhere, we don't have anything the same. No similarities at all. Besides that before these cycle tops, you have a lot of volatility, a lot of shakeout periods. And we had them this cycle too, but we just never had them this late in the cycle. Normally speaking, we're pumping right now in November and December. We don't normally have big corrections, shakeout moments like this late in the cycle. But you know what? The cycle is very different. And this is why we could continue well into 2026. Why would a lot of volatility, why would we have a lot of volatility if retail is never involved in this cycle? I mean, there's still retail involved. Institutions are leading. That doesn't mean retail isn't involved. All those liquidations that happen, billions upon billions upon billions, that's all from retail. That's not institutions getting liquidated. Okay, they're not playing with that leverage. So there's still retail involved, and there's a lot of whales involved. A lot of whales like setting those leverage and getting liquidated as well. So yeah. Basically what leverage proves and what prediction markets prove is everyone likes to gamble one way or another. It's like human nature to take risks. And sometimes they pay off, but in most cases they don't. This is why casinos are always filled. Vegas, no matter what, there's always people playing. And that's why people still play with leverage, no matter what. And I hate to admit it, I still do too. Like, I try not to, but, I throw those longs when I feel like it's a good opportunity. And I know so many other people do. And same thing with prediction markets. Why do you think poly market is so hot? People love to make bets. But I do think there's too much leverage in this space now. And guys like Binance and Bybit, they will have no hesitation to liquidate you. They do not care. They just want to make those fees. And they know people will just keep coming back no matter what. That's why I'm building a prediction market for Clash. And I think it's going to be really, really, really good for the Project Clash. And that should be done soon. I'm hoping by the end of this week. After we get our Clash picks done, I think it's going to drive a huge amount of people into Clash and our tournaments and our project and our token. I think it's going to be really different. People just love to gamble. People love to make bets on everything. Do you think we'll ever have another super cycle? I mean, this might be the cycle that we never come out of. We just keep on going forever. There's a good chance of that. We'll have corrections. It's not like we're not going to have corrections. We could see something like from 2023 till now, you know, slow and steady upwards, no parabolic phase. We could certainly just see 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, same thing, where we just slowly trend upwards, and then we have these 20 to 30% corrections. And then we just keep on going and going and going forever. And there's no more official 4-year cycle other than we have a halving event every 4 years, but it no longer matters because Bitcoin is already being bought and adopted worldwide, and there's way more buyers than sellers. Will the government ever stop printing? The answer to that, you already know, is no. That's why we have continuous inflation. And it'll never end. It's forever. Even the Fed wants inflation. 2 to 3% is their target rate. So, and we know that that's a fake number. If you look at things that you could really, things that really people care about, like homes, for example, it's more like 7, 8% a year. It's not 2, 3% a year. You know, like for young people to afford homes in nicer areas is a dream. There's no way. You know, salaries have not been going up 7, 8% every year, right? Even though some salaries are decent, but even if you make, even coming out of college, which is hard, but let's say you come out of college and you get a job, a nice job at $150,000 a year, straight out of college. You got those college tuition fees you got to worry about. Half of your income is basically going to taxes. It's not half, but it's like roughly 40%, depending on which state you're living in, including those state taxes. So your 140,000, 150,000 is down to about what? 90,000, and then you got to pay your tuition, which goes down to $80,000, $70,000. So you're carrying like $70,000. You divide that by 12. What is that? $6,000 a month? And then you got your car, you got your phone payment, you know, whatever else. Now you're down to another $5,000 a month. $5,000 a month. I don't know, first of all, how you go afford any just apartment is a couple thousand. If you want to get a house, that basically takes up the entire amount. Because a house obviously has more. You got to pay taxes and utilities and all these other stuff that you have to worry about, right? And this is assuming that you come out and get a $150K job, which is very rare for most college students. So you're starting out like probably 50, 60, 70, 80, high end of 100 out of college. But like, look at house prices. Like 20 years ago, you get good houses at 150,000, 200, 250,000. Those houses are now sitting at 500, 600,000. Mortgages on a $600,000 home is like 4,000 to 5,000 a month. So I don't know how young kids can afford to own anything anymore. It's just all about renting now. So, yeah. So that's the true measurement of inflation, right? Cost of living, not like cost of eggs, for example. I mean, if you look at how CPI is broken down, there's various things, but whatever gets too expensive that doesn't fit the criteria anymore, they remove. Actually, the CPI, I think they removed coffee from CPI because it was too expensive. So they wanted to like kind of fudge the numbers to make it look like it's still like 3%. So there are many categories that show inflation is way higher. Anyways, the whole point of this is inflation will always be a thing. The Fed and central banks around the world will never stop printing. So you need to own assets. You need to own assets that goes up with inflation. They get more expensive just because of inflation alone. But of course, if it's very coveted, like a hot piece of land or property or Bitcoin because it's scarce, it goes up even more. It's not just US. I know most of you guys are from US. I'm from the US, but it's the same thing everywhere. It's the same failed system basically everywhere. All fiat is overprinted. Inflation keeps going up. There's limited resources, limited assets, and those assets keep on going up. And what does the rich do? Well, they buy those assets too, and that also drives them up. So you got to invest. And then, let's not forget the AI factor. And I said this before, I honestly believe it. Every year from now on, we will lose 1% of jobs to AI. You're already seeing a lot of massive layoffs from these big tech companies that said it. They're laying off and preparing for AI. Every year going forward, conservatively, and I think it's really conservative, that we will lose 1% of jobs every year. So in 10 years, our unemployment rate in the US will be around 14, 15%. You extrapolate another 10 years, you're looking at maybe 25% of the population sitting without jobs. Add to that the inflation, like compounding over the next 10, 25 years. It's not looking good. This is the time to build that wealth now. It's going to be much harder to build wealth in 10, 20 years. I guarantee that. That is one thing I'm certain of, 100%. It's going to be much harder to build wealth or buy anything worth value in 10 to 20 years because they will be much higher, much, much higher. And your income level won't be. Well, through that rant, we slipped back to the red. Did you see the guy who has an AI boss? She called him up and yelled at him. I don't know if that's true. I've seen clips of it. I don't know if that's actually true. I think that's just satire. But I don't know. Who knows if that's real or not. There will be new jobs. There will be new jobs created. Don't worry. I think people underestimate AI. I don't think it's something that you should underestimate. AI is not a tool. It is now, just like Google. But what we're trying to create is intelligence. Okay, we're not creating, unlike before, when we create a hammer or we create whatever tool that we use, they don't get smarter. AI is something that we are not fully understanding. We just throw infinite amount of power at it, and we hope that it just, does what we want. Once AI truly becomes intelligent and sentient, it's going to be game over. So hopefully that day doesn't come sooner than expected. But leading up to it, AI is going to be ridiculously smart. Many jobs will be replaced. I use AI every day. Believe it or not, even what I do. You wouldn't think so, but I use AI every day. And if I do it, corporations with thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, you don't think they're doing it? You don't think they're trying to figure out how many people we could cut because ChatGPT could already do all this instantly and we don't need them to do it anymore? You gotta be more realistic. If you're on the side of, oh, AI is just another tool, I'm never gonna get affected by it, think again. It's only gonna get smarter from here on out and more useful until one day we get that sentient AI that could possibly just wipe us all out. But hopefully that day is not that soon. We're gonna have killer robots soon too. I mean, not killer in terms of like actually murdering people, but like really good robots. You're seeing all of them. You're seeing how fast Tesla's robots are now, right? They can actually dance and stuff. When before just a year or two ago, they were doing robotic things, and now they look like they're pretty smooth. And now other Chinese company or American company, I forgot which one. No, a Chinese company just came out with one that actually walks exactly like a human, and people thought that it was just a human disguised in a robot suit, but it's not. Like, we are advancing very fast with robotics too. Not just AI, but then if you pair them together, then we're gonna get the next data in the next 10 years. Our meme coin's dead. The only one not dead is Clash, because it's the one I'm leading, and it's not a meme coin, it's a community coin. You really need to check out what we're doing. Everything is in the description. It's the only one I could be 100% certain is not dead. Do you think cybersecurity will get replaced by AI? No, but AI will be used in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity itself will never be replaced. You always need a team to secure your systems. But I'm pretty sure you're going to be using AI to help you with that in the future, especially as attacks become more and more what do you call it? There's going to be more attacks and more sophisticated attacks, and you need ways to defend and things that you can't even think of. That's where AI can help you. Even if the Elon robots are remote controlled, but it's still moving way better than before. They're getting smarter and smarter with how they design like the hands and the arms and the joints and stuff. Before it just seems like so robotic. Now it's like smooth, fluid motions. We need a Westworld theme park. You laugh, but that's probably gonna come. When we can make robots just like humans, we will probably make a Westworld theme park. but only the rich will be able to go to it. Imagine how scary Disneyland would get. Imagine if all those costume characters in Disneyland gets replaced with just like robots. In 50 years, that could certainly happen. And the kids wouldn't be able to tell the difference. I'm pretty sure in 50 years, most people wouldn't even need to travel anymore. In 50 years, everyone will be like at home. They put on a headset. That headset is some kind of like, it's not just like what we have where you're just viewing through. That headset will be able to connect into your brain in such a way where you could just take virtual vacations and you wouldn't be able to tell. Like you'll be able to smell and touch and feel at any remote location in the world, basically, by sitting at your house. I'm pretty sure in 50 years we will have that. The way we're advancing now, I just don't see that we won't have something like that in 50 years. I don't think I'll be around then, but maybe. If they create nanobots that could like fix your body within the next 30 years, and I get that, then maybe I'll be around in 50 years. Brilliant being, there will be a data dividend paid to everyone. Humans will remain fundamental. Increased productivity will pay the bill. I don't know what a data dividend means. I mean, of course, humans will be around. Are we getting a $2,000 stimulus check? The answer is no. There's no way Congress is going to improve this. I agree, but much sooner in 50 years. I don't know. I think, yeah, maybe 50 years. I think around 30 years. The way we are advancing, I think in about 30 years, realistically, we could have that. But I'm just saying 50 to be realistic. But I'm pretty sure in the next 20 to 30 years, we will have cured basically all diseases. And if we get to that true, I think what everyone wants is like creating nanobots that can actually repair our cells. You basically inject it into our blood. It will auto-replicate as needed and basically fix everything. So we don't have to worry about cancer or any kind of heart disease or cholesterol. It's all going to be fixed. It's not going to be cheap. Keep in mind, it's going to be very expensive, so it's not going to be given to everyone. But I'm pretty sure that scenario is coming within the next 20 to 30 years. And even before that, we'll probably see a lot of things get cured beforehand. But if we get that, then basically the rich will be able to live, to like 150 or plus with that technology. And if they're working on how to expand the life of telomere cells, the ones that break down in our bodies. But if you actually fix that or make that replicate or whatever, then basically your body will just never age. It'll just keep on repairing itself forever. So something like that could come within the next 20 years too. But again, keep in mind, all this is only going to be for the rich. They're not going to give it out. The rich will pay billions, trillions for this. You know, ask any of the billionaires out there. They're going to put all their money into something that will make them live forever. It's going to happen. So anyways, all this just means that you need to build your wealth. Everyone needs to build their wealth as much as possible within the next 10 years. Okay, these things are going to change in 10 years due to AI and robotics. They will. It's going to change. And then in 20 years, go change more. 30 years, even more. You got to build your wealth now, some way. Hustle and work more, invest more, do whatever. Next 10 years, it's going to be crucial. Man, I'm keeping a lot of people entertained because I don't see the live watcher count go down. So that's good. Yeah, I'd say 50 plus years, maybe 100 years in the future. All the science fiction stuff that we're watching now will become reality. Like, for example, loading your consciousness into a system and basically living forever. That I'm pretty certain that will happen. At least all of our memories will be able to download it. I think that will be first. We'll be able to download all of our memories onto a hard drive or onto our phones. And that in itself will be invaluable because, you know, think about how forgetful we are, right? Every day of our lives, it goes on and on and on. There are things that I've done last week or just a few days ago, I don't even remember anymore. But if you're able to download all of your memories and you're able to like scroll past and look at it, man, that's going to change a lot of people's lives. People forget so much. But just the ability to download your memories will be huge. And then if you pass on to be able to share that with your family will be huge. That'll come first. And then eventually we'll be able to upload ourselves into computers. And then you won't even know because a lot of people think we're living in a matrix already. But if we're able to take our own selves and upload it into a computer or simulator world, it's just like you're there. You could make yourself not even remember that you're dead and you're just living a new life. That's crazy. That's crazy. Maybe we're all like that already. We wouldn't even know. Maybe we're all living a simulation right now. And you wouldn't know. And if you take your consciousness and you put it in a computer and you're living a simulated world, you know, here's the thing. How many of you guys ever think about, okay, you go into a restaurant or you go into a store, it's completely dead. And then as soon as you walk in, like minutes later, it's like populated. Like you somehow cause that place to get super populated. That happens to me all the time. Like yesterday I was with the family. I forgot what store. See, I'm forgetful already. But we were in a store that was completely empty. And then like minutes later, I look around and it's completely packed. It's like the simulation theory is like, the world doesn't generate things until it needs to, just like in games. Until you turn your character around, the game doesn't need to generate that. But it does once you interact with that part of the world or wherever. And it seems like so many times real life is the same thing. If we're in a simulation, it doesn't need to have people in all the stores. Until you go into it, then it does. That happens all the time. Like go to an empty restaurant and then boom, right afterwards, there's 1 million people. You think it's timing, but it makes you wonder if that's really the case. Everyone generates their own. Everyone's living in their own world, basically. I mean, they're simulating their own things. Anyways, even if we're not, we will get to that point in the next 50 to 100 years. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, I don't even know if that's a good thing. If you're living in a simulation, you can't reset, that could be a worse fate for you. Gotta milk some cows, touch earth, folks, drink some water, hug a loved ones. I'll agree with the rest of that except the first part. Milk some cows. Winstead said, if we are in simulation, someone out there made our consciousness, which means there must be some higher consciousness, which means there must be a universe where they come from. No, it could be us. It could be humans. You know, the planet has been out for billions of years, right? And they say humans have been out for hundreds of thousands of years. But we only went through our industrial age and all the computer stuff within the last 100 years. So who's to say that, 1,000 years ago, we didn't advance to where we will be in like 100 years. And now we're all living in a simulation already. Maybe what we know of Earth is just in a simulation. Maybe the Earth has been around for much longer than that. We wouldn't know because everything we're seeing is programmed. It could just be humans. It doesn't even have to be like aliens or some other higher form being. It could just be us, very advanced. Just think about it. In 100 years, we will be able to program virtual worlds and realities so perfect we can't distinguish it from real life. And we're already getting close to that point with VR and AR or whatever and AI generated worlds. We're already pretty close, but think about it. In 100 years, for sure, 100% we have that. And that's not very long compared to the life of humans on the planet or the life of the planet or the life of the universe, right? Lifespan of the universe. I mean, there's someone else that created way before us. Like, I mean, honestly, I hate to go down this route, but the whole concept of, I'm not going to say it. It's going to piss off too many people. So I'm not going to say it. But this higher power, right, is just a more intelligent being. That's really it. I mean, that being could be us. We just wouldn't know. We wouldn't know either way. Andre Miller. I'm not going to repeat what you said, but that's funny. Can you explain share buybacks? It's exactly what it sounds like. Buying back shares. That's exactly what it is. Companies that have a lot of money, they buy back their own shares. That's it. Can they print more shares? Yes. Companies issue more shares all the time. They sell it in the open market. That's why a lot of times it drops prices down. And then what companies do is buy back their shares if they want to drive prices upwards. All the big tech companies do it all the time. They do share buybacks, and also they give out dividends too. But yeah. When they buy back their own shares, the artificial inflation in their stock price. Sort of, yeah. There's a lot of stuff that companies can do. The SEC tries to make sure they don't do anything fishy. But yeah. But yeah, that's what Saylor's doing. All these are preferred stocks, including strategy, and he issues stock like weekly. That's how he's able to buy Bitcoin. He generates money by selling shares. All right, guys, enough rambling for today. But main theme is, did we miss the blow off top? And the answer is no. We had nothing like the previous tops. And I think that's still in store. So be patient, HODL, DCA, and do what you can to generate as much wealth as you can in the next 10 years. Inflation, AI, going to change things. And not for the better, I think. Unless you're wealthy. All right, smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys tonight. All right, have a good one. Take care.